we'll get to Randy's question before that. Does Mercedes win the TBS championship? It's kind of hard not to see her winning it. He's also enjoyed the Queen of the Ring matches. To get off the interview topic for a second, Dave, what do you think about the crowns they have been displaying for King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring?
It's old school. It's got an old school vibe to it back in the day when they really put more of a focus on that King of the Ring tournament. I said it before, the only thing for me is I'm just hoping there's more stakes on this. I'm hoping it leads to championship matches or something. And, I've enjoyed the tournament. I've enjoyed both. I would agree. Lava Curie is doing great, but I love that they're giving the matches time to air.
I kind of find it ironic that Triple H is bringing back crowns when, remember years ago, the King of the Ring crown was the one thing Triple H hated, the crown and scepter, and now we're getting our own kind of version of it. And Dave, I want to go back to asking about the interviews because the one interview I didn't get to watch, and much like Missy Hyatt, I won't be around for and am jealous of, you interviewed New York Times bestselling author, wrestling author Keith Elliott Greenberg. He did the Ric Flair book. He did the Follow the Buzzards, the rise of wrestling during COVID. He did Too Sweet, the indie wrestling boom. How was that interview? And what do you think people will enjoy out of it? Because I haven't seen a word of it yet.
He's a knowledgeable wrestling fan. He loves wrestling. He's been watching wrestling for a very, very long time. He's considered a pro wrestling historian, which he jokes about. That just means I've been watching it for a long time. He doesn't take himself too seriously, and he's an intelligent guy. So I think people will get a kick out of Keith, and I think they'll enjoy it.
Yeah, pro wrestling and true crime author. And it's funny, even in his book about wrestling and COVID-19, he talks about the presidential elections coming up during COVID, talks about how COVID affected wrestling and life. So it's a very interesting book. I will be watching that Death of WCW series because it's the guys from, or Who Killed WCW? It's the guys from Dark Side of the Ring. It's the guys from $7 Productions. I think this is going to be interesting. I would like to hope they break new ground with it. We're knowledgeable enough wrestling fans. I don't know how much new we're going to find out of it, but I will be watching and I hope it's entertaining.
One thing I just wanted to say too, to get back to that Keith interview for 1 second, I'll let one little tiny spoiler out there. There is a point where he talked about Natalya Neidhart meeting him and saying, "Oh, it's so nice to meet you." And she talked about how with her dad on the road all the time, that she didn't get to see her dad as much. And sometimes she'd look at the WWF magazine, and that's how she would get to see her dad. And she'd always see Keith Elliott Greenberg's name on that magazine. And so many of these wrestlers, including Nick Aldis, just knew his name from the magazine. And when he said that, I don't really say this in the interview, but that's when it really clicked to me. Oh, like it was just a nostalgia feeling because there's that point where I'm a young man reading, and he's just got one of those names, Keith Elliott Greenberg, and it's just sticking out to you. And I'm like, I did the same thing. I remember being so fascinated by this magazine and wrestling and trying to look into who wrote these. And I just remember his name. And so that kind of hit me during the interview.
Yeah, and it's wild because much like Brian Solomon, he's into that classic wrestling. He writes books, he writes for magazines, and those are the interviews I really like getting because you're getting equal parts somebody that works in the wrestling industry, yet also somebody that is a fan. So it's that interesting line that I like. Now, we are getting to the end of these scheduled interviews. You've been going so hard on the interviews lately. What are ones that you're hoping to get? Who do you have your sights set on next?
Oh, man, that's tough to say who I'm hoping to get because I threw out a wide net.
Bill Alfonso said we had good numbers, Daddy.
Bill Alfonso, yeah, he liked our numbers, but we haven't heard back yet. So we'll see how that goes. Fonzie Daddy. So Fonzie could be one. I was hoping Teddy Long would, holla holla at me, player, but I haven't heard back from Teddy yet.
It's a tough part with wrestling interviews. Sometimes it's a crapshoot, and it's almost 50-50 people who want to get paid versus people who are willing to do it.
Some people do. It's just they just don't have the time, or it's just not for them right now. They don't want to invest their time in it unless you're a very, very huge get. And then you got people like Jacques Rougeau who just said, "Yeah, I'll do it."
Yeah, only has like one request from us, which we definitely want to make work.
Of course, we're struggling with it, but
we're struggling with it, but it's important. Like, if we have somebody come on and there's something they want to promote, we definitely want to help them to the best of our abilities.